Welcome to the deep dive. Ever finish a conversation, maybe a meeting, or even just chatting, and feel like, well, you didn't quite get your point across, or maybe struggle to say exactly what you meant? Today, we're really getting stuck into some practical ways to make sure your voice is heard, understood, and, respected. Especially in English debates and discussions. We're drawing from The Art of English Debate and Discussion. It's a great source, really packed with things you can actually use. Our goal today isn't just to give you a list of phrases. No, we want to unpack the why and the how behind communicating effectively, giving you the tools, so you can express opinions confidently, clearly, respectfully, wherever you are.
And that's just so vital right now, isn't it? I mean, we live in a world brimming with different viewpoints, constantly bumping up against each other. Being able to state your case clearly, but also to really listen and engage constructively. Well, that's not just about knowing the language. It's fundamental. It's about navigating complexity, building bridges. These skills are key for meaningful interaction.
That's a great way to put it. Fundamental. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning. A basic distinction, but one that really shapes things. What actually is the difference between a discussion and a debate? Our source lays it out pretty clearly. A discussion, that's more like talking about a topic, usually in a friendly way. Think collaboration, exploring ideas together, aiming for understanding, maybe even finding common ground. A debate, though, that's different. It means talking about a topic, but with opposite opinions, one side for and the other against. So the goal shifts, right? Yeah. You're arguing for a specific viewpoint, defending it against opposition. Persuasion becomes key.
Yeah, and it's a critical difference because, if you think bigger picture, both are structured ways to engage, just with different end games. Discussion might be about creating something new together, brainstorming. Debate is about advocacy, maybe shifting perspectives. But what's fascinating, and the source highlights this, is the common ground. Both need politeness, both need clarity, and crucially, both need really good listening skills. It's not just about talking well, it's about the whole etiquette of exchanging ideas respectfully, even when you disagree strongly.
Right. That etiquette piece is huge. And knowing the difference helps you set the tone from the get-go. Are we building something together here, or are we presenting opposing cases? It affects how you choose your words, manage expectations, how you show up. It's like knowing the rules of the game before you start playing. Okay, let's get tactical. Starting the conversation. Sometimes that first step feels like the hardest. How does our source suggest we confidently kick things off, especially if we want to invite others in?
That's often where people hesitate, isn't it? The opening move. The source gives some brilliant, simple phrases that work like polite invitations. Things like, let's talk about, very direct, or what do you think about? That explicitly asks for input. And if you want to offer your own view first, starting with, in my opinion, or from my point of view, signals that it's your take, but you're open. These aren't just, filler words. They actually create a safer space for others to jump in. They feel invited, not put on the spot.
So you're not just launching in, you're opening a door. Like if you wanted to discuss, say, remote work, you could just ask, what do you think about these hybrid models everyone's trying? It's open-ended, clearly seeking their thoughts.
Exactly. It signals openness. It says, I value your input. And it makes the entry into the conversation smoother, more graceful. Plus, it focuses on the topic itself, not just on what you think. That's key for real dialogue, not just people taking turns talking at each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about how using just one of those simple phrases could change the feel of your next team huddle or class discussion. Gives you a bit of structure, feels polite, makes you feel more confident guiding things. Conversational doorways, like you said. Okay, next up. This is a big one. Agreeing is usually easy enough. Our source gives us things like, I completely agree with you, or that's a good point. Straightforward, positive. But disagreeing, that's where the real skill comes in, right? Doing it respectfully without shutting things down. The source has some gems for this. What really jumps out at you about those phrases for polite disagreement?
Oh, it's fascinating. It's not just the words, it's the psychology. When you use phrases like, I see your point, but I think, or I respect your opinion, but my view is different, what you're doing is acknowledging them first. It's about saving face, You validate their contribution, make them feel heard, and that actually makes them much more receptive to hearing your different perspective. It's strategic politeness.
Strategic politeness. I like that. So you acknowledge before you contradict. And that's interesting, but I believe fits right in there too, doesn't it?
Yep.
It softens the butt. It lets you hold your ground without sounding like you're attacking them. I definitely remember times I've just jumped in with, no, you're wrong, and poof. Conversation dead.
Well been there.
Yeah. Having these phrases ready Total game changer, especially when you're dealing with really diverse opinions.
It really is. It stops things escalating into an argument where nobody's actually listening. It shows you've processed what they said before offering your alternative. That's a mark of a really effective communicator. It creates an environment where you can actually exchange challenging ideas productively.
Okay, so we know how to start, how to agree, how to disagree politely. Now, let's level up our debate skills. How can we make our arguments stronger, more impactful? Our source gives us some great structural tools. Like, to introduce your main justification, you can say, the main reason is, clear signal, need to elaborate. Let me explain my point. Invites them to follow your logic, bringing in a counterpoint or alternative. On the other hand, classic transition. And wrapping up, in conclusion, tells everyone you're summarizing. Let's take that example from the source. Online learning is flexible and convenient. On the other hand, classroom learning gives more interaction. That, on the other hand, does so much work, doesn't it? It flags a contrast without dismissing the first point. It shows you see multiple sides.
Absolutely. If you think about the bigger picture, these phrases are like the scaffolding of your argument. Linguists call them discourse markers. They basically guide your listener. They signal, okay, here comes my main reason, or now let's look at the flip side. They organize your thoughts for the listener, making complex ideas easier to follow, which in turn makes your argument not just clearer, but way more persuasive. It helps your message really land.
Yeah, totally. They're not just fancy words, they are tools. Tools for building a solid case, making sure people follow your train of thought. They give your arguments structure, shape, turn rambling into reasoning. Right, let's try and pull all this together. Let's look at a mini example, maybe slightly expanded from the source, to see these bits working together. Imagine two people talking about technology's impact. Person A might start, in my opinion, technology just fundamentally makes our lives easier, more efficient.
Okay.
Then person B could reply, I see your point, and yeah, it's true, lots of tasks are simpler now, but I believe it also makes people less active, physically, mentally. We rely on it maybe too much.
A nuance counter.
So person A comes back. That's a fair point about activity levels. I get that.
Yep.
However, if you look at the bigger picture, the main reason it's so beneficial is the time it saves, right? Frees us up.
Acknowledging, then pivoting back. Nice.
And person B might conclude, I understand the time-saving thing totally, but we also have to balance that convenience with health, don't we? There's maybe a risk to critical thinking if we just outsource everything to devices.
That's a great little exchange. See what happened there. Person B started with, I see your point, and it's true that. Validation first. Then person A used, that's a fair point. However, acknowledgement again before reinforcing their view. It feels like a dance, doesn't it? A collaborative exploration of different angles, not just a fight to win. This kind of back and forth actually leads to deeper thinking for everyone involved.
Exactly. That's the flow we're aiming for, that balance between confidently stating your view and genuinely respecting theirs. It shows you can be firm in your beliefs, but still be a great person to talk to, someone who listens. Okay, so to wrap up the toolkit part, let's quickly revisit those essential ground rules for any good discussion or debate. Our source lists them out clearly. Number 1, be polite and respectful. Always. That's the foundation.
Absolutely.
Then use clear and simple language. Make sure people get what you're saying. Listen carefully before replying. So important, often overlooked.
The critical.
Give reasons for your opinion. Don't just state it. Explain the why. Back it up. And the golden rule, don't interrupt the other person. Let them finish their thought.
And these aren't just niceties, are they? They're fundamental. They apply everywhere. Boardroom, classroom, family dinner table, wherever people need to communicate and potentially disagree. What's really interesting is how these aren't just about language. They're about behavior. Good communication habits. They build trust, credibility. They keep the channels open, even when things get tough. You earn the right to be heard by showing respect first.
Well said. They really are the golden rules. The secret sauce, maybe, making your interactions work better, feel better, no matter what you're talking about. So let's pull back. What does this all mean for you listening right now?
We've gone pretty deep today, I think, beyond just tips. We've looked at discussions versus debates, how to start confidently, how to agree and disagree without friction, using strong phrases to structure arguments, and those core etiquette rules. Think about the impact. School, work, just chatting with friends. You've got tools now. Tools to communicate with more clarity, more confidence, and crucially, more respect. Making sure your voice doesn't just get heard, but actually makes a connection.
Yeah. And armed with all this, maybe think about a topic you feel strongly about. Something current, maybe AI, climate change, whatever it is. How would you approach a conversation about that now? Using these techniques, think about how you'd articulate your view clearly, but also how you deliberately use that validation, those respectful disagreement phrases, those structural markers. It's really about more than just talking, isn't it? It's about connecting, contributing thoughtfully, maybe even shifting the conversation in a more productive direction. Give that some thought before your next important discussion.